Early riddle research can be traced to the ancient cultures of India, Palestine, Mesopotamia, and Greece. In fact, many Western researchers and scholars have found inspiration from the ancient and distant riddles. However, there is a growing concern that interest in riddle knowledge is waning due to the lifestyle changes. But it is becoming increasingly evident that traditional societies generally have a way with dealing with the changes in their environment. Moving over to Africa and Asia, traditional communities have long used folklore and performance events to help their community understand their environment and acquire new skills. Performance and language events are important because they help guide social and human morals by providing a sense of place and purpose. Riddling is one reciprocal language event that has long been recognized for its world knowledge, language, and ambiguity. This is the journey of Iban riddle poems. The island of Borneo is situated in Southeast Asia and is home to close to 50 indigenous languages. Known as the land of Hornbill, Sarawak is noted for its biodiversity and landmass of 124,449 square feet that stretches some 800 kilometers along the northwest coast of Borneo. The Ibans, referred to as the Sea Dayaks, are the largest indigenous group in Sarawak, believed to have migrated from the headwaters of the Kapuas River in the central highlands of Borneo, down into the coastal plains of present-day Sarawak. The Ibans are renowned for their tribal and territorial expansion activities, paddy cultivation, and interest in the natural environments. Being the largest of Sarawak's ethnic groups, the Ibans form 30% of the state's population of 2.5 million. Presently, the Ibans live in longhouses that are equipped with modern facilities. Though the Ibans today are becoming increasingly urbanized, they continue to retain many of their traditional heritage and culture. This facilitated by their dialect, which mutually intelligible. The Ibans from Betung, Serato, and parts of Sarike are called Saribas, whom we now turn to.
Setelah itu teka-teki orang-orang Iban dulu. Itu satu tradisi Iban.
Teka-teki macam teka-teki kita Melayu lain, tapi kami lain lagi. Jadi itu si dapat ditegang kami sampainya habis.
Entelah is just innovation, just a life innovation. I don't know who started the Entelah, who taught Iban about the Entelah, and why Entelah was used in the olden days. I so don't know. It always improved following the language development, like speech making or poetry.
Actually, we do not know the origin. We know no record of the origin. So what we know, it's an oral tradition. It's passed from our ancestors by mouth, from generation to generation. So it's through the oral tradition. Entelah means riddle in English. Riddle that use a special and unique format. Unique format in the sense that we hide what is to be the subject to be solved. Using this proverbial expression, metaphors, imagery, and then idioms, similes, all these are included. In the last session, the conductor is somewhere here. So the audience, a group of small children or adults all around, so they will take turn. The faster, siapa tahu angkat tangan, jawablah. The first person to respond, that is the one who have the wittiness, or has all the imagination, all this knowledge of the language, and so on.
The Iban riddle poem, also known as Entelah, are part riddle, part poem. and they actually exist as texts in archives and in publications. But often you'll find that they exist as oral folklores and are performed and improvised at the field. Now let's start off with a working definition. A riddle is a traditional fixed phrase. It's a verbal expression consisting of two parts. Normally there's an image and an answer. And what is interesting is, being a riddle, there's a seeming contradiction. Now, one immediate difficulty that we would have in interpreting the Entelah would be that the word Entelah is not similar to other Iban performance rituals. This is despite the word falling under a special speech genre that's specific to the performance language. Now, let's look at two types of riddle. These are quite common, you'll find them in a lot of studies. Now, type 1 would be the category of the generic true riddle that's often found in Western riddles, where riddles comprise two parts. Number 1, the image that functions as the question, and the answer, which is known as the lalai in the Entelah situation. Now, the image generally provides a new perspective of a familiar object. So that's this perspective that makes it interesting. The next thing that comes in is a clue in the form of the ululunga. That's actually the end rhyme, is included to help the listener arrive at the correct sounding answer. So what happens is, when you listen to the riddle, you're supposed to also listen to the ululunga to arrive at the answer. Now, it normally has a similar end sound, and very often there's an equal number of syllables that matches the answer. So this makes it even more easier for the person to arrive. So that's the entry point. Now, the type 2, on the other hand, is often a formulaic riddle. Type 2 has a rich imagery, and normally it includes details of places, toponyms, people. You find that normally we have what you call as technonyms, and human activities. So this is where you find that the riddle is actually a source or a rich imagery of natural environmental resources that's available. Now, there will also be parallel stanzas with attention to end rhymes, and this is known as the Entelah. And there's also stanza transitions, repetitions, symbolic references. These are what you would actually, the Westerners would consider as literary features, and you see what people can do with the language. Now, an alternative way of actually looking at the Entelah would be through an experiential learning situation. Imagine you're a listener and you're trying to understand the riddle language. But you might understand Iban but be unaware of the answer immediately. And this is where the ululunga comes in. It will be introduced and it will have the same end sound. So you're supposed to listen. The Entelah must have an ululunga, and that's when it becomes an Entelah. And this will help the listener match the answer with a similar ending word. So that's what makes it very, very unique. The thing that you need to notice is the menua. The menua is a location which is also another clue to indicate where the answer or the object can be found. And what's interesting is that often you'll find there's such a thing called menua lama and menua baru. Alright? Now, the menua can be seen as a lifeline in modern game shows, where at that one stage you find that somebody will ask, give me more additional information. So both the old and new location will be given, and the old location normally is somewhere in the jungle, and the new location could be any part. They'll actually make references because Entelah has been improvised and you've got modern versions. So you will actually notice that there's a lot of information that you can actually get from the Entelah, and this is what makes it extremely unique.
Semua pai jebai, nadai jari tahu pepegai, dikerigai tingkah batu. Pai jebu pai jebi, tergerak jalan nadai kaki, berkerinci atas rau. Ululu jagar, menua rau nyagu tinggi tubuh, baba serpok rapi kampung. Dan ini ular.
Program Entelah memang kita akan bersiaran setiap hari Selasa pukul 8 malam. So program tu berjalan selama 1 jam. Dia memang lama dahulu, dari awal 70-an memang dah ada dah program ni disiarkan di RTM. Sekarang ni dia lebih generasi muda memang banyak yang meminati lah. Dia akan dikenali oleh pengelalai Entelah. Yang kita panggil kalau dalam bahasa Melayu tu dia sebagai pengacara Entelah tu lah. Dia yang akan membuat Entelah tu. Lepas tu dia yang macam dia edit Entelah tu dan dia susun balik. So pendengar ni dia akan hantar ke YFM dia punya Entelah yang dia orang reka dan dia orang susun. Lepas tu pengacara akan edit dan dia tapis balik sebelum disiarkan. Dan boleh dikatakan sangat menggalakkan lah sebab setiap kali program tu diadakan memang para pendengar tak putus-putus dia call ke konti YFM. So selama 1 jam tu kita tak ada memainkan lagu. Memang dalam 1 jam tu kurang lebih dalam 10 Entelah. Kurang lebih dalam 10 Entelah kita dapat siarkan dan para pendengar dapat menjawabnya.
Evidently, there is plenty of enthusiasm and interest in keeping the riddling culture alive. While it is unlikely that there are any universal folk riddles, though folk riddles fit within all cultural world knowledge, there are certain structural aspects that are present in many cultures. Folk riddles like the Entelah are different from other cultural interaction because they demand that the participants reanalyze and rearrange their culture's world knowledge, which includes cognitive categories and the grammar of the language in order to produce clever statements of ambiguity. This process allows participants to come up with new understandings. Till we meet again, goodbye.